Hello and welcome to Easy English Stories. Today, I've got a thrilling and funny story for you that will help you practice your listening skills in English. Imagine this. You've just arrived in a new country, excited to explore. But instead of an adventure, everything goes horribly wrong. This is exactly what happens to Sophie, our main character, in today's story. You won't believe the hilarious disasters she faces while trying to navigate London as a tourist. Are you ready for a roller coaster of laughter and surprises? Now let's talk about shadowing. Shadowing is one of the most effective ways to improve your speaking and listening skills. All you have to do is repeat the sentences you hear, exactly as I say them. This technique helps you sound more natural and confident, and it's one of the best ways to practice English. How can you do this in today's video? Watch the story carefully first, and then go back to repeat every sentence out loud. Don't worry if you make mistakes. The key is to practice every single day. The more you repeat, the faster you'll improve, and soon you'll sound just like a native speaker. Now, let's get started with Sophie's crazy adventure in London. A place where nothing goes as planned. You'll want to pay attention because the fun is just beginning. The worst tourist. Sophie had been dreaming of visiting London for years. Finally, her plane landed at Heathrow, and she was ready to explore the city. She stepped off the plane, feeling excited, but also a little nervous. This was her first trip abroad, and she had heard stories of how confusing the transportation system could be. At the airport, she went to buy a train ticket to the city. Sophie had heard about the Oyster card, but she wasn't sure how it worked. She looked at the machine, feeling confused. "What is this?" she thought, staring at the options. She tried pressing random buttons, but nothing seemed to work. Finally, she decided to just grab a ticket, but when she reached the platform, she realized she was on the wrong train. Sophie sighed and sat down. "This is going to be a long day," she thought, looking out the window as the train sped away in the wrong direction. Sophie finally arrived at her hotel in London, after what felt like an eternity. She was exhausted, but excited to start her adventures. She quickly checked in and rushed to her room, ready to freshen up and go out for a walk. But when she opened her suitcase, she froze. "Where is my clothes?" she thought, looking at the empty space inside. Sophie had packed everything, from her favorite dresses to comfortable shoes. But now, there was nothing. She called the airline immediately. "Hello, I've just arrived and my luggage didn't come with me. What should I do?" The lady on the phone sounded sympathetic. "We're very sorry, ma'am. Your luggage is probably still at the airport. We'll send it over as soon as possible." Sophie sighed in disbelief. Of course this would happen to me. She had no choice but to go out in the same clothes she had worn on the plane. After the train ride disaster, Sophie finally made it to the city center. She was determined to not let anything ruin her day. She took out her map, hoping to get her bearings, but as she looked at it, she realized she didn't understand a thing. The streets all looked the same, and she had no idea where to start. Just then, a friendly woman approached her. "Excuse me, do you need help?" the woman asked with a smile. Sophie nodded, feeling embarrassed. "Yes, I think I'm lost," she said. "I'm trying to get to Buckingham Palace, but I don't know where to go." The woman laughed. "No problem. I'm actually a tour guide, so I can show you the way." Sophie smiled, grateful for the help. "Thank you so much," she said. Little did Sophie know, This would be the beginning of a very interesting adventure around London. The unexpected adventure. Sophie followed the friendly tour guide through the busy streets of London. The woman's name was Mary, and she shared fun facts about the city as they walked. "This street is called Piccadilly Circus," Mary explained, pointing to the bright lights and huge advertisements. "It's a famous area for shopping and entertainment." Sophie couldn't believe how much she was learning. She had planned to explore London alone, but now she was getting a personal tour from a local. As they walked toward Trafalgar Square, Mary suddenly stopped and looked at Sophie with a mischievous grin. "How would you like to see something special?" she asked. Sophie was curious. "What is it?" she replied. Mary winked. "It's a surprise. Follow me." Sophie, excited and a bit nervous, followed Mary down a hidden alley. She had no idea where they were going, but she trusted her new friend. Mary led Sophie through the narrow alley, and soon they arrived at a small hidden gate. It was barely noticeable among the bustling streets, but Mary knew exactly where to go. "Welcome to the secret garden," she said with a smile, pushing open the gate. Sophie stepped inside and gasped. The garden was beautiful, filled with flowers, trees, and a peaceful pond. It felt like a little piece of nature hidden away in the middle of the city. "This place is amazing," Sophie exclaimed, taking in the beauty around her. Mary smiled. "Not many people know about this place. It's my little secret." They sat on a bench by the pond, and Sophie couldn't help but feel relaxed. After all the chaos of the day, this quiet, hidden spot felt like a perfect escape. "Sometimes the best things in life are the ones we least expect," Mary said. Sophie nodded, agreeing completely. As Sophie and Mary sat in the secret garden, Sophie began to feel more at ease. The peaceful atmosphere made her forget about the chaos of the day. But just as Sophie was starting to relax, a strange man appeared from behind one of the trees. He looked a bit lost and was wearing a long coat, even though it was warm outside. "Hello, excuse me," the man said, his voice low and uncertain. "I think I've lost my way." Mary stood up immediately. "You're lost? Where are you trying to go?" she asked, her tone suddenly serious. Sophie watched the man closely, wondering what was going on. "I need to get to the British Museum," the man replied, looking confused. Mary glanced at Sophie, then at the man, and without warning she offered, "We're going there too. Why don't we walk together?" Sophie hesitated but decided to follow. Little did she know, this meeting would lead to even more surprises. The unexpected twist. As Sophie and Mary walked through the secret garden, Sophie couldn't help but feel a sense of excitement building up. She was enjoying this peaceful escape so much, but she didn't expect things to take such an unexpected turn. Suddenly, the man from earlier reappeared. His face looked pale and his eyes were wide with concern. "Did you see that?" he asked urgently, catching his breath. Sophie was confused. "See what?" she asked. The man glanced around nervously, his voice dropping to a whisper. "Someone is following me. I'm sure of it." Mary's expression changed immediately. "We need to go now," she said firmly, grabbing Sophie's arm and starting to walk quickly toward the gate. Sophie was alarmed but trusted Mary. They walked in silence, the strange tension hanging in the air. Who was following the man? And why had he brought them into this situation? The air was thick with tension, As Sophie, Mary, and the strange man hurried through the alleyways, trying to lose whoever was following them. Sophie's heart raced, but she couldn't fully understand what was happening. "Who's following you?" Sophie asked, her voice trembling. The man didn't answer right away. He kept glancing over his shoulder, clearly anxious. "I'm not sure, but I think they want something from me. Something important." Mary led the group quickly down a few more streets, her eyes scanning every corner. "Stay close, Sophie," she warned. "We have to be careful." Sophie's mind raced. Why had Mary reacted so quickly? What was going on? Suddenly, a figure appeared in front of them. It was a woman, dressed in black, with a serious expression on her face. She stopped in their path, blocking their way. "Who are you?" Sophie demanded. The woman's lips curled into a smile, but there was no kindness in it. The truth revealed. The woman stood in front of them, her eyes sharp and calculating. Sophie felt her heart skip a beat. Who was she? And why was she standing in their way? "I don't have time for games," Sophie said, trying to sound brave, even though her voice wavered. "What do you want?" The woman smiled darkly. "You don't know, do you? You've been caught up in something much bigger than you realize." Mary stepped forward, her face hardening. "This is not your problem, Sophie. Stay back." Sophie didn't move. She needed answers. The woman glanced at the man beside them. "You've been carrying something very valuable, and now it's time for you to give it to us." Sophie's confusion deepened. What is going on? What is so important? The woman looked at her with pity. "You've just stepped into a world you don't understand, but now you're involved." Sophie felt a wave of panic wash over her. What was this woman talking about? What was so valuable about the man's secret? Mary stepped in front of Sophie, her voice calm but firm. "We can't stay here. We need to go." The woman shook her head, her eyes narrowing. "You think you can just walk away? This is bigger than you." But before anything else could happen, a loud siren blared in the distance. The woman's face twisted with frustration. She looked at the man, then back at Sophie and Mary. "This isn't over," she hissed, turning to leave. Sophie felt her breath return as the woman disappeared into the shadows. "What was all that about?" Sophie asked, her voice shaky. Mary sighed, glancing at the man. "Long story, but we're safe now. Let's go." Sophie wasn't sure she understood everything, but one thing was clear. This adventure had changed her forever. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the story and practiced your listening skills. If you want to improve your speaking, don't forget about the shadowing method. Just go back to the beginning and repeat each sentence with me. The more you practice, the faster you'll improve your English. If you liked this video, make sure to hit the like button, leave a comment below, and subscribe to the channel for more amazing stories like this one. There's always something new to learn, so keep practicing and keep growing. See you in the next story.